The auction no one wanted to win. The auction hall was dark, loud, and full of smoke. Strange lights flashed over the metal walls. Creatures from across the galaxy sat in rows. Rich aliens with sharp teeth, long arms, and glowing eyes. They came to buy rare things, living things. It was a black market auction. Illegal, hidden, dangerous. On the stage, cages were rolled out one by one. Inside them, different beings stood quietly. Some looked scared. Some were already broken. One by one, they were sold. A two-headed lizard, a fire-skinned miner, a telepath boy. The crowd placed bids. Gold, weapons, credits, favors. Each sale brought more excitement. But then, everything stopped. The next cage rolled in slowly. The lights dimmed. The crowd became silent. Inside the cage stood a girl. She was tall, covered in strange silver markings. Her skin was a shade of blue-gray. Her eyes glowing red, not with anger, but with something cold, wild. Her long black hair was messy. Her hands were chained, but she stood straight, like a warrior, like a storm waiting to begin. The auctioneer cleared his throat. He was a fat, green alien with 8 fingers. Ladies and gentlemen, our final item for tonight. Very rare, very dangerous. No name, no origin. We call her the Wild One. The crowd murmured. Whispers filled the hall. That's her, the one who killed the slavers. They say she speaks in dead languages. She burned a ship just by looking at it. The auctioneer smiled nervously. Her last owners are no longer alive. Handle with care, but strong buyers like you. I'm sure you'll enjoy this challenge. Starting bid, 10 million credits. Silence. No. One raised a hand. He tried again. 8 million. Nothing. 5. Still silence. The girl stared straight ahead. Her eyes scanned the crowd. Cold, dead. Like she already knew no one would dare. Then the door opened. A man walked in. Not tall. Not alien. Just a man. Human. Leather jacket. Dusty boots. A small cut on his cheek. He looked tired. Quiet. He walked to the center, looked up at the girl in the cage, and raised one hand. The auctioneer blinked. Sir, you are placing a bid. Yes, the man said. The crowd laughed. A few aliens shouted, a human, he'll die in a day. She eat him alive. He doesn't have that kind of money. The auctioneer smiled. Sir, the bid is 5 million credits. The man looked up again. I offer everything I own. Gasps. Everything. What kind of fool? The auctioneer frowned. Do you understand what you're saying? That means your ship, your weapons, your credits, your future earnings, everything, the man said again. Calm. The auctioneer stared. Then, slowly, he brought the hammer down. Bang. Sold. The cage didn't move. The girl didn't speak. The human walked toward her. The guards looked nervous. One tried to stop him. She'll kill you, the guard warned. I'll take that chance, the man said. The cage opened with a loud hiss. The girl stepped out, chains still on her wrists. She didn't run. She didn't speak. She just looked at the man. He didn't look away. My name's Jace, he said quietly. I'm not here to hurt you. Still, she said nothing. Together they walked out of the hall. Eyes followed them. Some with pity. Some with hunger. Some with fear. Behind them, the auctioneer whispered into a small device. Keep an eye on him. No one bids everything unless they know something. In the dark ship that waited outside, Jace unlocked the back door. The girl stepped inside. Slowly, she didn't sit. Just stood in the middle. He handed her food and water. She stared at it but didn't touch it. You can eat, he said. Silence, he sighed. You're free now. You know that. I don't want to own you. She looked up. For the first time, her eyes softened. Just a little. Then she looked away again. He didn't press more. He sat down, turned on the ship's engines. As the ship took off, Jace looked once more at the silent girl. What had he done? Why had he done it? Even he didn't know the full reason. But one thing was clear. She wasn't just some rare alien. And this was no ordinary rescue. The ship moved through empty space like a ghost. Quiet, slow, alone. Inside, Jace sat in the pilot's seat. His hands gripped the controls, but his eyes kept glancing at the back. She was still there, the alien girl. The one no one dared to buy. She hadn't moved in hours. She sat on the floor near the cargo wall, legs crossed, arms resting on her knees. Her red eyes watched everything. Cold, sharp, silent. She hadn't said a word. Since the auction, She hadn't eaten. She hadn't slept. Jace sighed. He tapped a few buttons, set the ship on autopilot. Then he walked to her. Slowly, he placed another food packet near her. Simple fruit cubes. Water bottle beside it. You need to eat, he said. I don't know what your species likes, but this is safe. She didn't even blink. Jace sat across from her, not too close. He watched her carefully. I'm Jace, he said again. You probably know that by now. She said nothing. He chuckled softly. Yeah, not a talker. That's okay. She tilted her head slightly. Not much. Just enough to show she was listening. I didn't buy you to keep you in chains, he added. You're not a slave here. You can leave if you want. Still, no reply. He stood up, walked back to the pilot's seat. Silence filled the ship. Again. Hours passed. The lights inside dimmed for night cycle. Jace tried to rest in the corner bunk but couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about her. The way she stared. The way the entire auction room had feared her. What had she done to earn that kind of fear? And why had he spent everything to bring her with him? Even he didn't fully know. A feeling. A pull. Like he had to save her. Even if it cost him everything. Beep. A soft alarm sounded. Ship sensors flashed. Red. Jace sat up fast. Someone was nearby. He checked the scanner. A small ship. Not far. No signal. No ID. Pirates. Before he could decide, something moved behind him. He turned quickly. The girl stood near the door. Silent. Still. How did you? She raised one hand. Pointed at the screen. Her voice came low and quiet. Bad. Just one word. But it was the first thing she had said. Jace stared. You know them. She nodded once. Slowly. How do you know? She pointed to her head. Then to the stars outside. I hear them. You're a telepath. She didn't answer. Just turned and walked. To the center of the ship. She stood still. Waiting. Then the lights flickered. A sound outside. Metal scraping. They were boarding. Jace grabbed his pulse rifle. Stay back. Let me handle. But she had already moved fast. She jumped to the storage locker. Grabbed a long metal staff. How did she know it was there? Before Jace could ask, the door burst open. 3 aliens stepped in. Pirates. Covered in black armor. Holding shock weapons. They didn't see her coming. She struck the first one across the head. Hard. Metal hit bone. The alien dropped. She spun, dodged a shot, and kicked the second pirate into the wall. The third aimed at her, but froze. She looked into his eyes. Her red eyes flashed bright. The pirate screamed. His weapon dropped. He fell to his knees, shaking, mumbling. She stood over him, her voice calm. Sleep. He collapsed. Jace stood frozen. 3 pirates down in under 10 seconds. The girl turned back to him, blood on her cheek, breathing steady. She didn't look proud, didn't look angry, just tired. Daughter stepped forward. Why did you help me? She stared at him, then finally spoke again. You helped me first. Jace nodded slowly. That's fair. She sat down on the floor again, holding the staff across her knees. He sat across from her, still gripping his rifle. Do you have a name? He asked. She looked away. No more. What do I call you? Silence. Then she whispered. They called me Wild. Jace smiled softly. All right, Wild. That works. Later, he cleaned the ship, moved the pirates' bodies to the storage room. Wild watched. She finally ate a fruit cube. 1. Slowly. Jace said nothing. Just let her be. Something had changed. She wasn't just a silent passenger now. She had chosen to protect him. And Jace realized something else. Deep in his gut. She wasn't just powerful. She wasn't just rare. She was dangerous, yes, but more than that. She was afraid of something bigger. Something that was still out there. And now, because of him, it might come looking for both of them. The ship drifted through deep space. Quiet after the pirate attack. Jace stood at the small sink, cleaning dried blood from his hands. Not his blood. The pirates. Wild had done most of the work. Fast, silent, deadly. She sat nearby, sharpening the metal staff with a piece of broken blade. She didn't speak. She didn't smile. But something had changed. She was no longer just watching. She was choosing to stay. Jace dried his hands and walked over. You saved my life again, he said. Wild didn't look up. You saved mine first. He sat down across from her. That's 2 favors now. She paused, sharpening, and stared at him. I do not count. Maybe you should, he said. One day, we'll be even. She went back to her work. Jace leaned forward. Can I ask you something? She said nothing. but her hands stopped moving. He continued, "Those pirates. You said you heard them. In your mind." She nodded once. "You're telepathic?" "No," she said slowly. "Not fully. I hear thoughts, feelings, danger. It's not clear, like fog." Jace rubbed his chin. "You sensed them before they boarded. That saved us." She looked at him. "They were not here for you. They wanted me." That hit him like cold air. He sat back. "You think they followed us from the auction?" "They were waiting," she said, watching the signal from my collar. She reached up and touched the metal ring around her neck, thin silver, glowing faintly. Jace frowned. "That's still active." She nodded. "Tracker, slave mark, pain." He stood up fast and grabbed a toolkit from the shelf. "Then we need to remove it. Now." Wild stiffened. "You can't." He knelt beside her. "I'm not asking." She looked into his eyes. "If you break it wrong, it will burn my mind." "Kill me." Jace stared at the collar. It was alien tech. Smooth. Almost part of her skin. No buttons. No seams. Just a soft hum. "Then we break it right," he said. They moved to the back of the ship, where the med table was. Jace asked her to lie down. Wild didn't like that. She hesitated. Her hands shook for a moment. "You trust me?" he asked. She slowly laid down. Jace put on thin gloves, turned on a scanner, and began working. The collar was connected to a nervous system. Tiny wires ran into her skin. He had seen similar tech used by slavers on mining planets. But this was advanced, old, dangerous. "Hold still," he whispered. Her eyes stayed locked on the ceiling. Her breath, calm but deep. Jace inserted a thin tool beneath the collar. Click. A soft noise. One of the wires released. Wild flinched. "You okay?" She nodded. He kept going. Click. Clicked another wire out. But then the collar buzzed. A red light blinked. On its side, Jace's heart jumped. "It's armed, a failsafe." Wild's voice was calm. "Then you must finish. Now." He took a breath. Focused. In one fast move, he twisted the tool, reached into the panel, and pulled 2 wires at once. Snap. The red light blinked twice, then died. The collar let out a soft hiss. And unlocked. It fell to the floor. Wild didn't move. For a second, Jace thought she had passed out. Then her hand moved. Slowly, she reached up and touched her bare neck. No pain, no hum, nothing. She sat up slowly. Her red eyes were wide. Not with fear, with something close to peace. Jace picked up the collar and crushed it under his boot. "That won't hurt you again," he said. Wild looked at him for a long time. Then in a soft voice she said, "Thank you." It was the first time she had used that word. Later, they sat together in the front cabin. The stars outside moved like rivers of light. Jace sipped a cup of recycled coffee. "You said you don't have a name, but you have a past." Wild didn't answer right away. Then she spoke. "My people are gone. Dead." She nodded. "Hunted. Betrayed. Sold." Jace waited. "I was not born in chains," she said. "I was born in the sky palaces. Above a blue moon. We were watchers. Keepers of old things." He listened closely. Her voice was slow, quiet, like someone walking through memory. "My cousin wanted power. He gave me 2 slavers. Said I was broken." Jace's jaw tightened. "He gave you that collar?" "Yes." "And he's still out there?" "Yes." Silence filled the ship again. Then Jace said, "Maybe it's time someone breaks more than just the collar." Wild looked at him. For the first time, she smiled. A small, tired smile, but real. Somewhere far away, a signal flashed across the stars. A console beeped on a dark ship. A deep voice spoke. "She's awake." And someone helped her. Another voice replied, "Then burn the stars, if you must, but find her." The stars outside looked peaceful, but Wild didn't trust peace. She sat near the front window of the ship, legs folded, eyes staring into space. Not just the stars, but something farther, deeper, like she was searching for a memory hidden in the black. Jace walked in, carrying a cup of steaming water. "You haven't slept." "I don't sleep much," she replied. He offered her the cup. She took it silently. Jace leaned against the wall. "We're far from the last jump point. No ships near us for light years." Wild nodded, still looking out. "That's what makes it worse. How only the dead stars are this quiet." Jace frowned. "You feel something." She didn't answer, but her hands gripped the cup tighter. Later, Jace checked the control panel. A small red icon blinked on the lower screen. Unknown signal. Trace fragment detected. He tapped it. A scrambled message played through the speakers. Just static. Then a voice. Ion 7. She is not lost. She is awakened. Static again. Jace turned it off quickly. Wild was already standing behind him. You heard that? He asked. She nodded. They are searching. You sure it's them? She looked down. It was his voice. Your cousin. Yes. Jace turned in his seat. Tell me more about him. Wild sat on the floor, pulling her knees close. His name is Cairo. He was born second. I was firstborn. He wanted the crown. But only those who hold the song key can rule. Jace raised an eyebrow. Song key. She pointed to her chest. It's not a real key. It's inside us. Passed through blood. It lets us speak to the old tech. The machines that built our world. The power that keeps the sky palaces floating. So, your people had some kind of living technology. Yes, she whispered. And Cairo wanted to control it. Did he try to steal it from you? No. He sold me instead. Once I was gone, the key was silent. The machines listened to no one. Then why is he hunting you now? Wild stared at him, eyes cold. Because he knows. If I'm alive, he's not king. Jace stood up and walked to a hidden panel in the ship's floor. He opened it and pulled out a small, locked crate. Inside was a long metal tube. Dark gray, with glowing green lines across it. Wild's eyes widened. Where did you get that? Found it on a wreck station, he said. Everyone was dead. But this thing kept humming. She walked closer, slowly. It's a speaker relic, she said. You shouldn't be able to touch it. Well, I did. It didn't do much. She reached out and placed her palm on the tube. Instantly, the green lines glowed brighter. The ship's lights flickered. A low hum filled the room. Jace stepped back. What's it doing? Wild didn't move. It remembers me. Then, from the relic, a soft voice echoed. Speaker identified. Bloodline confirmed. Sky protocol unlocked. Jace's mouth fell open. You just opened a machine from a lost civilization. Wild's voice was quiet. This is only a piece. There are more. Hidden, buried, sleeping. Jace looked at the device, then at her. If Cairo finds out, you're bonded to this tech. He'll come faster. He already knows, she said. A sharp ping echoed from the control panel. Jace rushed over. Ship incoming fast. Wild followed. How far? 15 minutes. He zoomed in. A dark ship. Sharp like a blade. No ID, no signal. Jace cursed. They followed the trace. They're tracking us. Wild stepped forward. Then we don't. Run. You want to fight them? No. We hide. Jace blinked. Where? Wild pressed a button on the map screen. The galaxy rotated until a faded, unmarked moon appeared. There. That place is dead, she said. You've been there? She nodded. That moon holds a listening stone. It's old. Very old. If I reach it, I can call others. Your people. No, she said. Something older. They jumped into hyperspace, seconds before the enemy ship reached them. The stars stretched. The engines roared. Inside the cockpit, Wild sat still. Jace looked at her. You okay? She didn't answer. Her eyes were closed. Her hand still touched the relic. He watched her face. Calm now. Focus. But behind that calm was fire. Jace didn't understand everything yet. The song key. The machines. Her bloodline. But one thing was clear. She wasn't just a slave. She wasn't just a survivor. She was a voice from a forgotten empire. And her past wasn't dead. It was waking up. The jump ended with a quiet thud, and the stars returned. Jace sat tense in the pilot seat. His fingers hovered over the controls. His eyes scanned the dark moon below. Wild stood beside him, arms crossed, eyes cold. There, she said, pointing to a ridge of broken mountains. Land near the rocks. The stone sleeps beneath them. Jace tilted the ship and began descent. You sure no one lives down there? Wild shook her head. Nothing lives, only memory. The moon was dead. Gray, cracked, dry like old bones. Thin air. No wind. No sound. Jace stepped out in a pressure suit. Wild didn't need one. Her body adjusted. Her skin glowed faintly in the cold. They walked in silence. The relic from the ship hung on Wild's back, tied with wire. After 20 minutes of walking, she stopped here. She said. Jace looked around. I see rocks. Nothing else. Wild stepped forward, knelt, and pressed both palms on the ground. For a moment, nothing. Then, the earth rumbled. The ground opened in a perfect circle. A stone platform rose from the dust, glowing with green. Lines in its center stood a large black stone, smooth and silent. The listening stone, she said. Jace blinked. This talks not with words, she said. It remembers. It sends. It calls. She stepped onto the platform. The relic on her back lit up. She placed it gently onto the stone. A soft hum filled the air. Wild closed her eyes. She didn't speak, but the stone began to glow brighter. Suddenly, her hands shook. Wild. Jace stepped closer. Her eyes snapped open. Someone is listening. Who? She looked up at the stars. They heard the signal. Cairo's men. They're coming. Back on the ship, the alarm screamed. Jace and Wild ran inside. Multiple ships, Jace said. 4. Fast. Closing in, he hit the engines, but the ship refused. Wild looked at the screen. They jammed the systems. Jace cursed. Where? Sitting ducks. Wild's eyes flashed. Then we don't sit. She walked to the rear of the ship, opened a small armory case, and pulled out 2 shock grenades and a pulse blade. Jace raised an eyebrow. Where'd you learn to use all that? She looked back. You'd forget. I wasn't always in chains. Jace grabbed his rifle. We can't fight for ships. We don't need to, she said. We only need time. The enemy ships landed across the ridge, kicking up dust. Black armored soldiers marched forward. In lines, their helmets glowed red. Their weapons buzzed with energy. One stepped ahead of the rest. His voice echoed through a speaker. Return the girl, or die. Inside the ship, Wild's hands trembled slightly. Jace noticed. You okay? I know that voice, she whispered. That was Cairo's right hand. His hunter. Jace gripped his rifle. Guess he finally caught up. They stepped out together. Jace and Wild. Side by side. The hunter walked forward. He removed his helmet. He was human-shaped. But something was wrong. His skin was pale metal. His eyes were empty. You should have stayed lost, he told Wild. She didn't blink. You should have stayed dead. The hunter smiled. Your blood is still worth gold. The key still lives in you. Wild stepped forward. You think I came here to hide? He tilted his head. Didn't you? She pointed behind her. The stone is awake now. I called them. Called who? She smiled. For the first time, she looked fearless. The machines, she said. The ground shook again. From behind the ridge, metal arms rose. Long, sharp, ancient. 5 tall machines stepped out. Their bodies rusted, but eyes glowing blue. Silent guardians from a forgotten age. The soldiers raised their weapons. Jace raised his hands. Told you she's not normal. The machines moved like ghosts. Slow but strong. Energy pulsed through their limbs. One raised a hand, and a blast of force knocked 2 soldiers off their feet. Panic spread in the enemy ranks. The hunter roared, firing at Wild. Jace tackled her, rolling behind a rock. She looked at him. You should have left me. He wiped dust from her cheek. Too late now. The machines fought like storms. Old weapons, pure energy. They moved without words. Jace fired from cover, hitting one of the soldiers in the leg. Wild pulled the pulse blade and rushed forward, dodging blasts, moving faster than she had before. She leaped and stabbed the hunter in the chest. Sparks flew. He screamed, but he didn't fall. Your blood burns, but not enough, he growled. He grabbed her by the throat. Then boom, a shock grenade exploded behind him. Jace had thrown it. The hunter dropped Wild. She coughed, rolled, and hit a button on her wrist. The stone in the distance flashed one last time. A signal burst into the sky. The enemy ships took off, retreating fast. The hunter, smoking and broken, crawled back toward his shuttle. Jace helped Wild stand. You good? She nodded. They'll be back. Jace looked at the machines now returning to sleep. Then we'll be ready. A golden sun rose over the planet Velshara, a world of floating cities and silent fear. Its skies once sang with music and light. Now, they echoed only with cold silence. From far above, Jace's ship hovered just outside orbit, hidden in the shadow of a broken satellite. Inside, Wild stared at the glowing world below. That was my home, she said. Now, it is his kingdom. Jace looked at the scanner. No open channels. No welcome signals. Not even a warning. Just silence. That's his way, Wild whispered. He rules by fear, not words. Do we have a plan? She turned to him. Yes. We walk into the lion's mouth. They landed on the edge of an old skyport, long abandoned. Rusted towers. Empty halls. The air was thick and still. Not even wind dared to speak. Wild wore a dark cloak, hood up, face hidden. Jace adjusted his belt. where a small energy pistol rested. You sure your old friends will meet us here? They'll come, she said. Some still remember me. They walked through crumbling halls, past statues of tall figures with glowing stones on their foreheads. One statue was cracked in half. That one, Wilde said softly, was my mother. Jace paused. She was beautiful. She was strong, Wilde replied. She stood against Cairo. He had her turned to stone. A whisper broke the silence. Then another. From behind broken walls, a group of shadows appeared. Hooded figures. Silent. Then one stepped forward. An old woman with silver eyes and 4 fingers on each hand. Speak, child, the woman said, bowing slightly. You return. Wilde removed her hood. Elders in. The woman smiled. You still carry the fire in your eyes. Wilde nodded. We don't have much time. Zin's face turned serious. Cairo feels your presence. He will move fast. Then, we move faster, Wilde said. Is the hidden path still open? Yes. Through the underroots of the palace. Wilde turned to Jace. Are you ready? He gave a half smile. Was I ever? The underroots were deep beneath the floating city, long, vine-like tunnels made of old tech and stone. Dim lights glowed in the walls. Echoes of the past whispered around them. Wilde moved with purpose. Her fingers brushed ancient panels that opened doors with her touch. Jace followed close. You grew up here. Parts of it, she said. Before he took the rest. They reached a round chamber. In the center stood a spiral lift, powered by light energy. Above it, the throne room. Wilde touched the lift. It hummed, then rose slowly. Jace exhaled. No going back now. Good, Wilde said. I'm done running. The throne room was massive. Silver walls, black marble floor, and floating fire orbs. And in the center, on a twisted iron throne, sat Kairo. His body had changed. Once flesh, now part machine. His right arm was metal, his eyes pure white. He smiled slowly. So, my little cousin returns. Wilde stepped forward. Your throne is built on lies. Cairo laughed. And yours was built on blood. You betrayed the key. You broke the song. I survived it, he said. While you ran into the dark. I was forced out, she growled. But now I return. Not alone. Cairo's smile faded. Jace stepped beside her. A human, Cairo spat. Is that your army? No, Wilde said. He's my proof. Cairo stood. Of what? She reached into her cloak and pulled out the relic from the listening stone. It glowed the moment it left her hand. The throne room flickered. Panels on the walls began to light. Cairo's face twisted. You activated the stone. I spoke to the memory of Velshara, she said. The palace remembers the true bloodline. You think they'll follow you again? Cairo snapped. From behind the throne. Guards appeared, armored soldiers with dark visors. Jace stepped forward. We don't need many. Wilde raised her hand. A soft hum filled the room. Then the walls split. And from inside, ancient guardians stepped out. Machines like the ones on the dead moon. Taller, stronger, brighter. One by one. They moved beside Wilde. Cairo's guards raised their weapons. Don't, Wilde warned. They listen only to the key. They protect only the truth. Cairo screamed, and fired a blast from his metal arm. Wilde blocked it with a shimmer of energy. Around her palm, she stepped forward. No more lies, she said. No more fear. You are not worthy, Cairo shouted, pulling a second weapon. Wilde closed her eyes. A sharp tone echoed from the relic in her hand. The throne behind Cairo. Cracked. Light burst from the floor. The machines moved in. But it was Wilde who ended it. She stepped close, placed her hand on Cairo's chest, and whispered a single word. Silence. Cairo's weapons melted. His body froze. He collapsed to the floor, gasping. Then still. Minutes later, Jace stood beside her. At the throne. Guards had dropped their weapons. The machines had powered down. Velshara was quiet, but no longer afraid. You okay? Jace asked. Wilde nodded slowly. It's done. You're home now. She looked at him. Not just me. She reached out, and for the first time, offered her hand. Jace took it. The sky over Velshara was alive again. Golden clouds drifted past tall silver towers. Birds, long silent, sang from the edges of the palaces. The machines that once guarded only stone, now moved with purpose again. And at the center of it, all stood Wilde. No longer a silent, chained girl, but something far greater. She wore a cloak of woven stars. The relic hung across her chest, glowing like a small sun. Around her, the council of elders stood in a circle. Soldiers bowed. Machines waited, their blue eyes calm. Jay stood just behind her. Dirt still clung to his jacket. His face showed, the long path behind them. Fear, fire, and choices. A voice rang through the chamber. Do you, speaker of the song, accept the crown of memory and power? Wild looked at the relic. It pulsed once, soft and steady. I do. A new symbol, like a glowing line of music, appeared across her palm. The walls lit up. The machines lowered their heads. Velshara had a queen again. Later, in a quiet garden under moonlight, Jace leaned on a railing, watching ships pass above. Wild stepped beside him. She no longer walked like a prisoner. She walked like someone who remembered her name. Still don't like palaces? She asked. He gave a crooked smile. Let's just say I prefer ships that smell like engine grease. She chuckled, a sound that had become more common lately. I never asked, she said. Why did you buy me that day? Jace looked out at the stars. I don't know. Maybe I saw something in your eyes. Something that looked trapped, but not broken. You were right, she said. I was both. They stood in silence a moment. Then she said, you saved me. Jace shook his head. You saved yourself. I just gave you a door. You walked through it. She looked at him. You could have walked away. I couldn't. Why? He hesitated. Because you weren't just a caged alien girl. You were someone the galaxy tried to erase. Her voice softened. And now, he turned to face her. Now you're someone the galaxy will remember. The celebration came days later. Ships from distant systems arrived. Former enemies, hidden allies, curious minds, all to see the wild queen, who tamed forgotten machines, in the great hall. Music played, strange and beautiful, made from light and wind. Jace stood at the edge, watching her move through the crowd. Calm, graceful, powerful. A young child ran up to her and asked, Are you magic? Wild knelt down and smiled. No, just awake. The child grinned and ran back to their parents. Jace shook his head. Look at her now. Elder Zin stepped beside him. She carries the pain of many, but wears it like armor. Jace nodded. She earned that throne. Zin looked at him. And you? What will you do now? I don't know, Jace said. Guess I'll fix my ship. Find the next fight. Zin studied him. You could stay. He looked toward Wild again. I don't belong in palaces. Maybe not, Zin said. But some queens need more than guards. They need truth at their side. That night, Wild found Jace in the hangar, sitting on a crate. You're leaving, she said. He shrugged. Didn't want to break your party. You're not breaking anything. He stood. This world doesn't need me anymore. That's not true. He gave a half smile. You've got machines, power, people singing your name. She stepped closer. None of that would exist without you. You don't need me to rule. She looked into his eyes. I don't want you, because I need you. I want you because, you see me? Not the crown, not the power, just me. Jace was quiet for a long time. Then he said, You know I don't bow. She reached out and took his hand. Good. I don't want someone who bows. I want someone who stands beside me. He stared at her hand for a moment, and then held it the next morning. Two figures stood on the highest platform of Velshara. One, the queen of the sky, speaker of the song, ruler of machines. The other, a human with nothing but heart, fire, and a ship that barely flew. Together, they looked at the rising sun. Crowds below raised their voices in one name. Wild. She didn't wave. She didn't cry. She simply stood strong. Because her chains were gone. Because her silence had become a voice. Because no one dared to buy her, except the one who wanted nothing in return.